Hello there everyone, welcome to another World of Tanks console video with me, Womble Leader, where we're going to take a look at premium rounds in the game. We're going to talk about premium rounds in the game. We're in a tier 10 game here in our tier 8 Chinese premium medium, the type 59 King Dragon variant. And as you've seen from the title, we're going to have a pretty decent game here. And we're going to use, I'll say it loosely, we're going to use some skill rather than premium. Now the first thing a lot of people do tend to do, I would imagine, in a tier 8 game, or a tier 8 tank in a tier 10 game, is load up the gold, or load up the premium rounds, the high penetration rounds, because they think you're going to come across much higher tier tanks. I need to give myself that advantage, or take away their disadvantage of their armour. And I don't have an issue with premium rounds being a part of the game, or higher penetration rounds being a part of the game. I really don't. I think it's perfectly fine to have multiple different types of rounds to load into your tank. The issue I've got with premium rounds is there is no deterrent to not use them. Basically they cost you a little bit of extra silver, but there's so much silver thrown at you in this game. If you're a fairly competent player, you can make loads of silver very easily. Premium tanks, Cold War, air operations, they seem to always just be throwing silver at you. So the fact that it's the only kind of deterrent is that it might kind of cost you 30,000-40,000 silver at the end of the battle, which you can easily make back up, is just not going to stop anyone using premium rounds in situations where they don't need to use them. Now, as I said, I carry premium rounds. I've got 6 heat rounds here on my King Dragon because, yeah, I think it's a perfectly fine mechanic to have higher penetration rounds. What I don't agree with is the fact that these rounds do the same amount of damage as a standard round. Now this game is not based on historical accuracy. In some aspects it is, but it is still largely an arcade game, and I get that. So, you know, the reason I'm going to kind of, what I'm going to say here, you're going to go, well, you know, it's just a game, Womble, it doesn't really matter. It's not trying to be a hardcore tank simulator, but I think for the sake of the game, or what would kind of be a good idea, is for premium rounds to have around about a third less damage than standard rounds. And you could justify that by basically saying what happens in real life in real tank rounds. In order to increase the penetration of the shell, you remove the explosive part and you replace it with penetrating material. Now I'm saying that word an awful lot here. I'm not particularly comfortable with it, I'm not going to lie, but there's no really any other word for me to say for it. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happens with real shells. In order to kind of, you know, pierce the armour of a tank, most of a tank shell is made up with titanium or some similar material in order to punch through the armour, and then there's a small amount of explosive that goes off when the round penetrates, and that can harm the crew, etc. Whereas in the past, you know, the kind of, when armour wasn't such an issue to pen or get through, the kind of explosive value of a shell might have been a little bit more. So it makes sense for the game to have a little bit of, you know, that kind of, you could justify premium rounds not having the same damage potential as a standard round based on that, in my opinion anyway. But let's get back to this battle though, and then I'll move on to another reason why I find premium rounds are a little bit of an issue in the game. But you know, we've kind of got ourselves down here to this spotting location here, and we're just trying to spot some of the tank destroyers up on the ridge there. We've got to be careful, we're a tier 8 tank in a tier 10 game. I'm not going to be the one pushing through, holding the front line and taking the damage. At this point, you know, I think my value in this kind of battle is, again, as I say in a lot of my videos, is to keep my gun in the game and still be a useful attribute to the team, you know, 3 or 4 minutes into the battle, when it kind of gets down to these situations where, you know, 5 or 6 tanks have died in each round, and then I can be a much more useful asset to the team. But we are kind of gradually pushing forward here. We've got Chieftain Mark 6 in the kind of cave location just ahead of us, and we're just kind of gently prodding forward. Now our team have got the kind of village heights to my left hand side, so I know I'm relatively safe here, and I'm going to prod this ridge line here and try and get some spotting on the enemy tanks. We're up to 900 spotting already, and we've got 1 damaging shot into the Waffle Panzer IV, and we've managed to spot up a couple of tanks there, and we've got a bit more spotting on the board. But yeah, getting back to the premium rounds, this is what other kind of issue I've got with premium rounds. So you're a heavy tank, right? You're much of your tank is invested in your armour. You come across a medium, you come across a light tank. What does that light tank do? Presses the X button, gets premium rounds, can punch through the front of your tank now without any problems. What button does the heavy tank get to negate the light tank's advantage? The light tank, you know, you can't hit a button to make the light tank go slower. You can't hit a button to make the light tank's camouflage values go down. So the premium rounds are just, you know, they basically negate the whole point of armour in the game in a lot of ways. Now, a heavy tank invests all its attributes, if you like, into its armour. It's slow because of it. It generally has quite a long reload, doesn't have a particular accurate gun, but it's got armour. So the whole point of the armour is it can absorb some damage, it can sort of sit out in front of other tanks, but as soon as you hit that X button, your armour, in a lot of situations, not every situation, becomes useless. So if premium rounds had a third less damage, at least then the heavy tank's hit points would actually serve a good purpose, because they can't just take 400 damage off you now. In order to risk taking a shot against you, they only get to do 300 damage. Your hit points would go so much further. Anyways, that is my kind of thoughts on premium rounds. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, and that's fine. That's fine. I have dealt playing this game without using premium rounds particularly much for the last, well, in my first stint of World of Tanks for about, you know, 3-4 years, and I've now been playing again for about 6 months, and yeah, and I find that I get on just fine only using premium rounds in the situations that I really need to. Now here we've got like a typical World of Tanks moment. So we come up behind the E4, we've still got our hit points, so we're kind of trying to be, you know, the spotter for our team. So we auto-aimed the first shot into the E4's back of its turret, got the damage. We thought, alright, still not looking as it, let's aim the shot in properly. Fully aimed shot into the back of the turret, we bounce it. That's just World of Tanks in a nutshell. We are going to get another shot into the back of the E4, so that's nice as well. We've got a tank destroyer there, an SU-122-54. Not a tank you see a great deal of. We are up now to 2,800 spotting. We've got 1,100 of our own damage, and we are now one tank up on the enemy team, two tanks up on the enemy team, as we are just gradually pushing forward, spotting up the enemy, doing our job, keeping our hit points, poking where we can, getting the damage where we can. And we've got 3 tanks backing us up to, you know, nicely backing us up to take advantage of our spotting. So that is a Forge 155 now. It's only got 269 hit points, but that is not a tank that I want to mess about with too much, because it's got an autoloader and it will mess me up in a couple of shots. So I'm going to sit here, try and poke, see what else is around the corner. The artillery is aiming at me as well, so there's an artillery down there somewhere. And we have got our own Forge of some description, going to go in there and take on the other French tank destroyer. And at that, I'm just going to drive by, be a distraction, put a shot into the Huntsman. The Forge 155 is dead. We've got an Arty just ahead of us. Oh, I ignore the Huntsman. I'm like, yes, I'll have you. I'm going to put a shot into the Arty. I'm kind of going, why is that Huntsman still alive? At this point, the Arty puts a round into us, sets us on fire. We've used our fire extinguisher. The Arty's going to skulk behind the building. That Huntsman is still alive. I'm going, what the hell, team? Come on. Auto aim a shot into that. Right, we'll go. Surely they get that finished now. Going to go looking for the Arty. We know there's a Type 5 or a Type 4 heavy up there as well. We are spotted. We get very lucky there. That was not skill. That was pure luck, the way we junked out the way of the shot of the Type 5. And now it's just an Arty that's left. I thought it was the Arty that had actually hit me earlier on. Hadn't noticed that they had already died. So I'm going to go up here looking for them to find their carcass. But we have got 3,428 spotting and 2,224 of our own damage, and not a premium round fired. I'd like to say it's all skill, but you know, there is a certain amount of skill in this game, but luck definitely plays its part. We'll fast forward through to the end of this one just in time to see the Arty get one-shotted by... one-shotted by its fellow Arty, so yeah, you know, I'd say I'm sympathetic, but I'm not. But yeah, that's my thoughts on premium rounds in the game. I know people won't agree with them. And that's absolutely fine, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think of premium rounds. What do you think of my ideas for what they could do to change them? Or do you think I'm just talking complete rubbish? But keep it civil, keep it courteous, keep it constructive. That's all I ask. That was a very nice game though in the King Dragon. I'll let me just show you a game that didn't go quite so well to finish off the video. But I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye now.